Hi, and welcome to this episode of Victory Talk with Latasha White. Thank you once again for tuning in and giving me just a few minutes of your time for me to be able to help you shift your perspective or just to give you a little bit of food for thought or bring to your awareness some things that maybe you really haven't thought of before. So this week, what I want to talk about is, do you need to tighten up or do you need to loosen up? It is very likely you lie in one of those categories or in between and kind of shift between the two. And not to say that it's good, bad, indifferent, right or wrong. I just want to bring to your awareness that things may feel a little bit different for you if you maybe loosen your reins on some things or tighten your reins on some other things. So this is what I mean by that. If you feel like you've got to control the outcomes for everything, that you need to, have a say in how things go for everything, if you care how the dishes get done, not just that they got done, that's a really, really simple example to give you to say, you really don't have to pay that close attention to everything. Likely you feel a little bit exhausted because you're just having to do what I would say all the things. You don't have to do all the things. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be the answer for everything. You don't have to see how everything gets done, just that it gets done. Sometimes we just need to give the vision and not the details of how to make it happen, and not care so much of how to make it happen, just that it happens. That could be hard for some of us, right? That could be hard to but I think it would be easier if you... Why do we care so much? It's okay. It's okay. And as I said a million times, when I bring things up here in Victory Talk, it's because I've walked through it or am walking through it. There are so many times that I have, given a directive or asked somebody to help me do something. And then I'm like, but can you do it like this? Why do I care? Why do I care so much of how it gets done? And I'm asking you the same thing. It doesn't matter how it gets done, just that it gets done and that the desired outcome has been reached. That's it. We just need that desired outcome. And so on the complete flip side of that, do we need to tighten up our reins on some other things that maybe we haven't paid as much attention to? There's so many things that it's you just kind of let it go by the wayside, by the wayside. And then it's I really have to do something about this. And it's likely going to be much harder than if we just would have taken control of it to begin with. A lot of us do that with our health. We don't pay attention to things, kind of sweep it under the rug. And then once we have to pay attention to it, it's a bigger deal than if we would have taken care of the small things along the way. So that's just another example. So I'm saying that there are areas that all of us have in our lives that we need to tighten up or loosen up. It is within us to come to the awareness of what that looks like in your life. What are those things that maybe you aren't paying as much attention to or need to pay more attention to? We all have them. And so being able to bring to you the awareness that those issues are out there, and if we figure out exactly what our fine tuning is of those, it will help you walk out life just a little bit better. As I've told you time and time again, it is my lane to help you lead yourself well. And so in being able to do that, it's letting you feel okay with keeping your cup full and serving from your overflow. And how can you do that if you're so busy controlling all the little things that really don't amount to anything? Or how can you do that if you haven't controlled the things that do amount to something? So it's on both sides of that. It's both sides of that. And there's always areas in our lives that we need to pay attention to, figure out, fine tune. And if we can't, we need to ask for help. Ask for help. That is the biggest downfall that most of us have, is that we don't ask for help. We think we have all the answers and we can figure out and we can do it. Everything is figure outable, but you can only think to the point of what you've already thought. If nobody else comes alongside you and says, have you thought of it this way? What's your perspective on that? Can you catch my blind spots? How are you supposed to do it? You can't do it within yourself. You can't. It's not fair to ask your family to do it for you either. Sometimes they can help, but are they trained to help? Are they supposed to help? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Those are just other things that we need to bring to your awareness that, maybe I do need to look at this a little bit differently. Maybe I do need to ask somebody else to walk alongside me to figure out what this thing called life is supposed to look like for me. It's too short. It's absolutely too short for you to not walk it out in the way that you are designed to all day, every day. So that's what I'll leave you with today. And thank you so much again for tuning in to this episode of Victory Talk with LaTasha White. Follow me on all social media platforms at LaTasha White and my website, LaTashaWhite.com. Thank you again, and reach out. info@LaTashaWhite.com. That's the easiest way for you to be able to ask me a question and to get an immediate answer. So have a great week, and don't forget to lead with love.